Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Perhaps I can entice my next guest, General Blaine Holt, U.S. Air Force retired. We'll give you a waiver as a non-Marine to join the group. That guy is the worst phony in the world. General Holt, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I'm so glad you highlighted that bunch of nonsense. Some of the guys in uniform, not just the Marine Corps, really went hog wild on ideas about soft power and counterinsurgency and coin. And they actually just left their combat roles at the back of their brains. And it's like, you do understand that we are the folks who kick in doors and break things, right? And so you've got to, I get it. We all have to be able to play in very complex ways, but you can never let the baseline skill set go away. And I think, I watched quite a few officers just kind of lose themselves in that world.
It's fascinating, really. It's unfortunate. General Holt, nobody knows Iran better than you. This Iran conflict, it's a conflict, not a war. I've been thinking about that and looking at the definitions. It's a conflict. Ceasefire is still in effect. What's going to happen next? What's your sense? And it does seem to have faded momentarily, at least from the public eye.
It does, and it honestly, that's actually been a good thing because the futures markets in oil have been fairly stabilized, and what that means is, although you're seeing high prices, it means once we get on the other side of this thing, we can look forward to watching oil prices come down fairly quickly. But there are some priorities, and Greg, I don't know how the priorities are going to get handled without kinetic action and getting back into military operations. One of them is Karg Island. The Iranians, to save their own oil wells, they're dumping oil right into the Straits of Hormuz, hundreds of thousands of barrels so far, and we need to secure Karg Island, get empty tankers up, because we want to save those oil fields as well, not just for the Iranian people, for their future, but countries like China will get very interested militarily if they start to see 18% of their oil supply come offline. So we got to negotiate those straits right away, and that means not just the IRGC, but you got to look at, where's the other impediment to what President Trump's trying to do? Well, that's out of London. That's out of Europe. You've got Lloyd's of London, who not one ship has taken President Trump up on his offer of insurance. Why? Because that monopoly is intimidating those shipping companies to say, if you take that U.S. money and that insurance wrapper, we won't insure you in other parts of the world, and that's a big deal.
And that insurance company, they're not doing it because, hey, we're afraid of losing money. They're doing it because they want to screw over America, correct?
Absolutely correct. This is the war, and I'm so glad you call Iran a conflict. I just call it a battlefield in a global war. This is what I call World War Next. Sovereigntists, which is what President Trump wants for us, versus the globalists who want to dictate to us every single thing that happens in our lives. And they do it through monopolies like Lloyd's, and they bet on every sides of every war. What has President Trump been doing? He's putting fire blankets on everything that could become World War III. And honestly, when we split away all the fog, guys, that's what this war is. That's what all of it is about.
That's amazing. But let me ask you this. Lloyd's of London, traditionally, it's an insurance company, and they'll insure, like, really, if you're going to go on the space shuttle, see Lloyd's of London. They can get you a deal. Right. In fact, Krista McAuliffe, the astronaut who died on the teacher from New Hampshire, had a big arrangement with Lloyd's of London. They're kind of creative. They're kind of big, bold, very old. Like, who's telling them to screw with us? Who is running that? And is it Keir Starmer? Is it deeper than that? And does President Trump know this, that this one company is really holding up everything?
He knows this, and it's much, much higher up. This is what we call the City of London, which is the 1 square mile of banking buildings that you see in London. And they've been around since the Dutch took over England in the War of 1688. These are the financialists. They go back to the fall of Rome. And Lloyd's, they're not altruistic. They don't give you deals. They're doing exactly what they're told. They're an element of warfare of this. Case in point, let's get back to the Straits of Hormuz. Lloyd's of London has not ever failed to ensure during wartime for shipping in its 337-year history. So why now? Because there's one guy who was not anointed by Chatham House or the Royal Institute of International Affairs, who is the President of the United States, and he's taken them on. And he's taken on these globalists, and they're fighting them every step of the way. That's why you hear shocking things like, oh, we're not going to share intelligence with you. You can't use this Air Force base. NATO says no to Spanish bases. These are bases that we fought for with our own blood to liberate Europe. So this is a war that's been going on decades and decades, and it takes one form or another. It's very hard to understand, but Americans now, more than ever before, must understand this. You must learn about this.
Here's President Trump at the Coast Guard Academy this week. Cut 14, please. Cut 14.
The class of 2026 is graduating at an incredible, exciting time for our nation and the Coast Guard in particular. As you enter the office corps of the greatest military in the history of the world, our national strength is back. Our morale is back. We are a confident country again. We have confidence is back. And above all, America is back, bigger and better and stronger than ever before. We have a strong, great, respected country again.
That's true. And I'd like you to tell us just how true it is. I don't think it's appreciated, certainly by the American people, just how different America is perceived. And it's not just perception, it's reality with President Trump in the Oval Office.
It is absolutely true. He's putting the blade and a sharp edge back on the American military, and he's restoring American confidence in what we spend in terms of putting our armed forces together. And every single operation they have done since that man has taken office, he has trusted the leaders to execute the way they know how, and they have performed flawlessly. And this is a military we can be proud of, and they're serving at an awfully difficult time. I just described to you how complex this world is and this world war, and they are a part of it, and they are giant minds. And so for someone getting their butter bars today or becoming an ensign or a lieutenant, oh gosh, you have an amazing set of adventures in front of you.
Butter bars, second lieutenant. I remember, oh my gosh, will I ever earn my butter bars? Sometimes it looked very bleak. It looked very bleak. Oh gosh, yeah, that's the first officer rank, and it's kind of a glorious day when you become an officer. So let me play something for you. This is Ronald Reagan. It's just an amazing moment. Ronald Reagan at the Coast Guard Academy graduation, the one that President Trump just attended. But this is in 1988. Cut 15, please. Cut 15.
My Coast Guard aides have been excellent. One of them taught me that, and I quote, "The Coast Guard is that hard nucleus about which the Navy forms in time of war."
And the crowd goes wild. All right, it's a fun kind of hoorah, Coast Guard, screw the Navy kind of joke. And then Joe Biden tries the same line 20 years later. Watch what happens. Cut 16.
I can only assume that you will enjoy educating your family about how the Coast Guard is, quote, the hard nucleus around the Navy forms in times of war. You're a really dull class. I mean, come on, man. Is the sun getting to you? I would think you'd have an opportunity when I say that about the Navy to clap, but being here together.
Oh God, what a disgrace! He botches the joke, and he's mad at the audience for not getting it. I mean,
I would have thought that he'd have gotten much better at plagiarism after all of those years of doing it, and and then to get in their faces and disgrace himself as our commander in chief in front of those cadets, turning into officers, it's just disgusting. It really is disgusting. And you know, this is the thing. The country is just sick of folks like that. And they're on both sides of the aisle. And actually, America's had enough. And I couldn't be happier about that, because we're cruising into our 250th anniversary. And are we going to stand up and look at 250 more and not disgrace our founders and honor our grandchildren? We're going to go down pipelines of political expedience, nothing but fraud and corruption everywhere, and throw up our hands and say there's nothing we can do about it. We're Americans. we know we can do something about this stuff, and we better.
And when the we is you and me and you listening and every person, because what I have learned over the past, 7 years or so, 8 years, sometimes you have to be the change you want. You've got to do what you think needs to be done. There's no they anymore. I mean, there is they. And if you wait for the people to come and set it all up for you and do it, it's just not going to happen. But if you start doing it, you will ultimately find others who are doing it as well, and then you can join forces. I hope that makes sense. But we got to also remember our individualism, and we got to step up to the big responsibilities that we have and that our founding fathers actually placed on our shoulders. Is that too cornball? I mean, did that make sense?
No, your words have never been more serious or sober. And, Benjamin Franklin said it best. It's a republic if you can keep it. And here's the thing. Americans are inherently optimistic. I would be building a company myself out of thin air if I wasn't optimistic about America and what we can do. I just understand that many Americans have been duped into it's going to be somebody else. They'll come and save us. And that's not the case. We're going to have to save us. Nobody's coming. It's got to be us.
Democrat Party just put out a big report, partly blaming the defeat of Kamala Harris on Joe Biden. He does bear plenty of responsibility. So does Kamala Harris. I mean, they both sucked. I mean, they were just terrible. And it's interesting, though. It's a kind of getting some beltway play. All right, do me a favor. General Holt, you mentioned you are building a company. That's a big, bold thing to do. Risky, but also very rewarding can be. What are you guys building, and how can we be a part of it if we so choose?
We have 170 plus technologies that we're incubating across diverse technologies, from AI systems all the way to where we're starting, which is advanced building products, fireproof, waterproof, wall boards, and the like. And it's Xeriant, Xeriant, and that is OTC symbol XERI. We're a penny stock. And we're going to grow into the next great American company because I've never assembled a better team than the one I've got in front of me right now.
A penny stock. How about that? How many shares could I buy for a few $1,000? We're talking millions, trillions.
Yeah,
I love it.
You get a lot of shares for that.
Hostile
Don't
takeover.
make me do public math.
Don't worry.
We're silent.
General Holt, brilliant. This man told us exactly when the war in Iran would start. He's been right about everything, virtually everything, since I've known him, about 7 years now. General Holt, thanks for being with us, and keep it up.
Always my pleasure.